Welcome to lesson number 5. From our textbook, we will be covering subjects and topics taken from chapters 13, 14, and 15. In this set of chapters coming up and the next lesson, lesson 6, we're discussing the behavior of suppliers or the theory of the firm. So our price theory, which is the basis of our microeconomic analysis. Price theory is based on two separate ideas: the theory of the consumers and their consumer behavior, and secondly, theory of the firm. So here we enter into part 2. We will have a number of learning objectives to cover here, make brief mention of a few of them. We will be discussing many different versions of the word cost. In cost accounting and economics, there are a large number of those, so we'll take a close look. How do we measure them? What do they imply for the supply curve? Understanding scale economies. As we build up in scale of operation, what happens to costs? Do they rise or do they fall as circumstances dictate? We'll look at industrial organization, how the firm's prices and quantities depend upon the market conditions they face. We'll look at 4 different sets of markets, but for the present purpose, we'll be considering competition or perfect competition, at least the ideal of perfect competition, and monopoly, the notion of zero competition. As we look at markets and industrial organization. The behavior of competitive firms is most enlightening because it gives us kind of a goal or a target to hit for efficiency maximization. The competitive markets are the most efficient possible, and we'll be examining why that is the case mathematically so. Market power, of course, is the ability of a firm to influence price because it has less than perfect competition. Competitive firms have zero market power. So we take a look at the extreme of that, monopoly power, and we'll have a number of things to say about monopolies. They are very rare simply because it's very hard to preserve a monopoly position when it is so very lucrative, and there's an incentive to raise large sums of money to compete. We'll talk about the various types of monopolies, and we'll look at a notion that's available to firms with market power called price discrimination. And price discrimination per se is legally forbidden in the U.S., but that doesn't prevent us from doing it under other headings. In the chapters 13, you'll be reading about the costs of production, and we'll be taking a look at total, average, and marginal costs, those 3 categories. In chapter 14, we'll look at firms in competitive markets specifically, and we'll address the issues of efficiency. And there are 2 kinds of efficiency to be mentioned here: production efficiency and allocation efficiency. They are quite different, and they are both extremely important to the success of capital markets. And then chapter 14 will be looking, that was chapter 14. Chapter 15 will be looking at monopoly power and how does the monopolist extract greater than economic profits greater than normal. Profits, of course, can be distinguished by economists specifically as either normal profits, which are those that cover merely the opportunity costs of being in business, or economic profits that rise to that level and beyond. Of course, everybody is seeking economic profits, but they are have a negative impact on the economy. We'll discuss why that is. For that reason, monopolies have long been regulated and not specifically outlawed, but very closely regulated by federal laws. We do have a set of monopoly or anti-monopoly laws on the books in the U.S. that are invoked from time to time. These do not exist in other countries. The U.S. is the only one with those monopoly powers. We'll be taking a look at the lesson discussions and briefly in class, and then of course on the second page of the lesson 5 from the syllabus you have problems from the 3 different chapters, and hope you'll be able to do those and submit them without difficulties. We've had a little bit of computer glitches lately, so keep posted, and